What is up, everybody? This is your boy, Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point, here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I have another Set Point Extra Point segment. And with me for part one, I have the one, the only, Alan Knipe, Long Beach State men's volleyball coach. Alan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Teran. Good to see you, man. Or I guess good to speak to you. But nice to see you.
It's all good. And thank you for jumping on. I know you have such a busy schedule, but I had to take this moment to speak with you and interview you, especially since I haven't seen you all in person this season. But I digress on that.
Well, good to talk to you anytime. You can come by anytime you want. You know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hope I should be back soon. But anyway, this is about you and your team. So far, everything has looked pretty darn good. You're number one in the nation. You're one of two teams that are still undefeated. Tell me, what is the testament when it comes to this whole thing and the success so far?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any mystery to it. It's the really good fall that the guys put together. We had some guys put in a ton of extra work. We have guys that are significantly bigger and stronger than they were this time last year. We obviously have a lot of new pieces into the starting lineup. Maybe not everybody's new in our gym, but a lot of new pieces out there. And I've been impressed with their commitment to figuring out what this version of Long Beach State volleyball looks like, the 25 version. And, I think there's been some moments already in the young season that they've been tested. And for a group that hasn't played a ton of volleyball together, they've done a really good job with their execution and their composure in late in sets and in bigger moments. So it's a fun group to coach.
Awesome. So who has stood out for you all so far through this season, and who has been putting in work in the weight room or in practice or anything of that sort that deserves some praise and recognition?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, I think that our serve receive has been really, really good. So I think Skylar Sartorius and Kellen Larson have done a really good job passing the ball when they've been out there together. And so has, Alex Kondoff when he's got his chance, and Seba Sani. And Seba might be, the guy who's kind of transformed himself the most from this time last year. He had a really good freshman year, but he's got a ton of reps over the summer and passing the ball. He's got himself in really, really good shape, and he's playing at a really high level. So, him, Nato Dickinson, Connor Bloom, Island Doty, those guys that maybe haven't gotten a ton of playing time, the last couple of years, have been a big part of what we've done so far this season in matches and in our practice gym.
And obviously there's the player himself, Moni Nikolov. Was it easy to replace Aiden, who has been such an integral part of your team? And what did you think of Moni when he first stepped onto that court?
Well, I think it was, with Aiden and Mason and Simon and Tori and all those guys, Clark Godbolt, Nathan Harlan, that whole crew, you lose so much experience with our program, our systems. They had been through COVID together, all the craziness of that. And they were just a very, very special group, and that they had a lot to do with how close that group was, how much trust there was between one another. So, yeah, there's no doubt it's difficult. There's all sorts of parts of our program that at the beginning of the fall that we had deficiencies in areas that those guys had picked up, but that's part of college sports. Part of college sports is that roughly you lose about 25% of your team, and there's a turnover rate, and you have to be used to going into each year with a decent amount of new guys. And then every once in a while you get one of those years that you kind of cycle through a kind of a large class like we had last year. But the guys that have filled their shoes, obviously are very talented. Moni is not your typical freshman when it comes to the amount of volleyball he's played. So he's not sliding in there coming from playing, club volleyball on the weekends and some high school volleyball. Not to disrespect that. He's coming from playing volleyball at a very, very high level over a long period of time. So he certainly doesn't enter the lineup as a freshman. And Daniil Hershkinovich is in our gym last year, and he played, but he didn't play as much as probably he would have liked. But he had a great year for us, and he had a great summer for Canada. And he's done a really good job stepping into that right side this year and allowing us to slide Skylar back over to the left, which is very much more comfortable for him.
So let's break down your schedule so far, or through the matches that you've played. So I know you started off with the win over St. Francis, but your true little first big test was the Midwest trip where you took on Lindenwood, McKendree, and Lewis. What do you think you all learned from that trip, and what were some fun moments for you all on and off the court?
Yeah, it's such a good time of the year for us to travel for so many reasons. Where the guys aren't in school, so it makes it easy to get away without having to miss class. And anytime you can start the year and get on a flight and be in hotels and dinners together and bus rides, as we played in two different places in St. Louis and then made our way over to Chicago. You learn a lot about your teammates. You start to build that identity together as a team, and you get to watch a little extra video because you have the hotel conference room, so you have their undivided attention all the time. So, but like I said earlier, it's those moments of early in the season of getting to have meals together, connect together, travel together, just spend time developing, the culture of our team. So we learned a lot. We had some good times. It's always good for guys from California and to get into the Midwest when it's a little cold and snowing, and you see some of the guys throwing snowballs because they probably haven't seen it before. And there's always some good things like that. But two good matches right out of the gate with Lindenwood and McKendree, and two good teams. Obviously, Lindenwood's always good, and McKendree's had a couple of nice wins just even as of late. They're always good, and both of them are extremely well coached. And then to Lewis, one of the big dogs of the Midwest for the last 20 plus years. And what Dan Friend does with that program is pretty special. And they were obviously pumped up, sellout crowd and standing room only, and great environment for an early January for us. So that was the moment where, here we go. We lose the first set, and we got to find a way to compete. And I thought the guys did a great job with that.
So during that week where you all went on the Midwest trip, there was actually another big event that was happening in Austin, Texas, the First Point Collegiate Challenge, which has always been a nice little event being held in like Austin Convention Center. Tell me, would you want to be part of the First Point Collegiate Challenge, or you just don't have the schedule, or are there any other complications, or would you want to be part of it?
No, when they've been really generous about when early on when they were trying to build it, and we were at a position right there we really wanted to go, but we were dealing with some craziness within the state of California about where we could travel and couldn't travel to certain states, and there was so much stuff going on politically from the state of California. We literally couldn't go on those trips. It wasn't funded for us, and so we had to say no early on. Now that that's been kind of cleared up, and we don't have those same travel restrictions, they're rolling with that tournament. But I think you're going to see Long Beach State out there at that event soon, and we would love to be part of it to help grow the game. And to Glenn and his whole crew out there, I mean, those guys do just such a good job. They go all in on that tournament, so of course you want to be part of great tournaments.
I promise you all, Glenn Litsky did not put me on in terms of that question. But
let me follow up one thing. I think what Glenn does for volleyball is impressive. I don't care what he does. He goes all in. He does a great job. Anything from my side and Long Beach State side, we always want to grow the game. So we'll be part of it. But I understand where they were when we couldn't do it. They had to roll, and he probably has some commitments. I would imagine, though, Long Beach will play in that tournament, yes.
Yes, and I hopefully look forward to seeing you all, and all the kids would love to have you, especially for like the clinics and whatnot. But
absolutely.
Anyway, but after that week, if I recall correctly, you all had the Concordia Irvine match and then Pepperdine, where Pepperdine kind of pushed you all, but you wound up winning in 5. Tell me, what was like the mindset being down 2-1 on the road to a good Pepperdine team?
Well, I think the week first started off with, we had to play a match in the gold mine against Concordia, and they're always a good team, and Chris Seifert, great 49er, does such a good job with that team, and they came in fired up and playing hard. So that I thought that really set up the week with us well because we pride ourselves on not getting too far ahead in the schedule. So thought the guys did a good job of staying present in that match, knowing that Concordia was going to come in and play well, which they did. And then, have a day to get ready to go, play Pep. And it was just crazy, obviously, with all the tragedy that area has faced at that time. And it was very sad driving up there to see all the devastation of that area and what all those people are going through. Your heart just absolutely breaks for them. And, it was just, I think it was really good for just for the game, and especially for Pep and that people in that area to be able to have a game like that, just to kind of maybe a little distraction. And, they're a good team. We played really well at times, and then we let up a little bit. Part of that's due to, Pepperdine doing some good things, but it's early in the year, and that's not necessarily uncommon. But what I really liked is how we responded in the fourth set when we got down 2-1, and how we played all the way through the fifth set, from the opening bell of the fifth set till we closed it out. So those are great wins on the road. Having to go 5, get a win, that builds some true character and some grit for your team.
And then you had the Silver State Showdown, which could have served as a possible trap match or trap matches before the UCLA match, but you were able to overcome Fort Valley State and Belmont Abbey, who got to see you all again after last year in the NCAA tournament. Tell me, what's it like facing a young program like Fort Valley State that made history being the first SIAC team in the NCAA tournament, or National Collegiate Men's Volleyball Tournament, as the correct vernacular is called?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're incredibly well coached. I think Larry does a great job with them, and I think they got some terrific athletes on their team with some great arms, and I think they play a style of volleyball that's really conducive to the talent they have. And I think they came out and they played well. They served really well, and that's what we expected that out of them and Belmont. So we kind of mixed up our lineup a little bit in both those matches. We certainly went with some guys who have been playing and then moved some pieces around those guys. And I think that, Seba and, Nato and Alex Conduff and the guys that got opportunities to play did a really, really good job. And that was a growing moment for us. And I absolutely don't mean any disrespect to them, because we played some people. It's just that the quality of volleyball was great, and I knew it would be, but I also really wanted to grow the base of our program a little bit for this year, and I was happy I did, and the event was good. It's got a lot of opportunity to get significantly better, but once again, just people that are willing to take a chance to grow men's volleyball. I'm always going to want to be helpful to those, and that's what that tournament was. So I appreciate everyone, all the organizers who put that thing together, and they took some great feedback of what we could do moving forward, and it was hopefully it was great for everyone involved.
Excellent stuff. Great job. A great job to everyone involved and whatnot. All right. So for UCLA, obviously it's one of the more bigger rivalries in NCAA men's volleyball. Tell me, in your words, what can you describe the UCLA Long Beach State men's volleyball rivalry, and describe to us what the atmosphere is all about?
I think respect would be the word I use. I have a lot of respect for the history of that program, dating back to, the days of Al Skates and all the great things that he did through John and now into John Hawks. And, there's a lot of tradition up there. They played a lot of great volleyball over the years. They've had a lot of really good players, and hosted a lot of Final Fours at Poly Pavilion. So there's UCLA's involved and entrenched in the history of our sport. And so we have a tremendous respect for what they do and the players they have and the quality of volleyball that they're going to be able to play and the crowd that they'll get at Poly. And it's great. It's great for the game. And, it was a couple of years ago now, but when John Sperron and I were talking about just kind of, at that point we were playing one year at Long Beach, the next year at UCLA, and just bouncing back and forth. This is right when the Big West split. And we just realized, the brand of volleyball is so good when those two teams are playing, and the crowds are so good that even though we're not in the same conference, we really just got to do a home and away. It's good for both programs. It's good for the crowd. It's certainly great for Long Beach State. I think we found this early February date when we usually do it. This year, that match was sold out, a week in advance. And I think Jeff Scott, our ticket guru, told us, if he could have easily sold a couple more thousand seats if he had room in the building. And I just think I'm very proud of that from Long Beach State standpoint, for our program, for our community, but also, just for the game itself, that, we've got men's volleyball to the point that some big games during the course of the year, that the only way you're going to get in the building is you have to go to the secondary ticket market to try to find a ticket. That's growing the game. So congratulations to all the guys at UCLA, all the guys at Long Beach, the coaches, the administrators who want to go all into that and make it happen every year.
And I wish I could have been part of the action in terms of seeing the action in person. But I got to see the first match, which was downright impressive. Very good showing at the Pyramid. And I imagine it was packed at Pauley Pavilion, which you swept that match. Were you a little surprised that you were able to come out with a 3-set win against UCLA on the road?
Honestly, I don't really get caught up too much in that sweep or 4 or whatever it may be. Look, the sets are going to be close. Those matches are always going to be decided with some really thin margins, and it's going to be a couple of plays here and there that are going to separate. So, that's the way it played. We're happy for it. We move on. But, you got in any match, and particularly in some of the bigger matches, you just got to bear down on each set and know that it's going to be close, and you got to be okay with that. And you also got to know that it's about execution late in sets. And the way it went down went really well for us here, and it went really well up there. And we move on. But like I said, ton of respect for that matchup, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come.
So this past week was obviously a big week in terms of NCAA men's volleyball. Lots of 11 5-set matches, a bunch of big upsets, one of which was the Masters University and NAI school defeating Stanford. Tell me, would you be down to be playing the Masters University in an NCAA match since you play them in the fall, or is that not in the cards?
No, I think we'll play anybody, and as teams are entering into the MPSF, and if they have a route to get to our championship, we want to play them. And there's only so many you're going to be able to play. We only have so many non-conference home games, and we're trying to do some national non-conference. We're trying to do some regional non-conference. We need to make sure we have enough crossover with the MPSF. So there's only so many you're going to get in. But no, there's nobody that's playing men's volleyball that can qualify for our championship that we wouldn't be willing to play. It's just a matter of how we fit it in our schedule.
And speaking of your schedule, right now, which is the most current match and the most recent match that you will be playing this Friday, it'll be at home against tied for number 8 Grand Canyon. It's a rematch of last year's national semifinals. And they've been through quite a bit this season, but they've had a lot of success. What will it take to take down Grand Canyon? Because they have some studs that want to play volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what Matt built up there was really special. I think he put his own touch on that program with the type of players he picked, and a lot of good arms, a lot of really talented pins, and obviously being a setter himself, he had a nice unique offense that they were running that was stressful with the speed and the tempo that they were trying to run. And they had some good things. And obviously Matt had to make a very, very difficult call and do something that he thought it was best for himself and his family, which ultimately you got to respect. But those guys have been through some, and that's not an easy thing. They've been through some tough ones, so tough days, I'm sure. But, credit for them. They came right out and first weekend without Matt there and did themselves proud. So, once again, we have a ton of respect for them. We've seen them in the last 2 Final Fours, and they're going to come in and they're going to play well, and they're a really talented team. We got to see them in person at the Silver State showcase, and we didn't play them, but we got to see them. And then obviously we play them in the fall every year. So, there's a pretty good idea of what kind of talent they have on their side of the net. So once again, this is why you schedule like you do, and we have a good week to prep and get after it on Friday night.
Teran Rodriguez, host of Set Point on iSports Radio with Alan Knipe, head coach of Long Beach State men's volleyball. Just a few more questions and then I'll let you go. So the Big West is all ranked from top to bottom. They are all ranked in the AVCA poll. I think it's been that way since the beginning of the season. What can you say about the growth of the Big West? And is there any testament to how all these teams just continue to just put forth a great effort night in and night out?
Yeah, it's I'm a very, very proud member of the Big West, and very appreciative of what the Big West Conference did for the growth of men's volleyball and created that conference for us in 2018. And it's impressive that this is, you mentioned that they're all ranked, but this is pretty much what happens every year. There's the whole conference is ranked, and it makes for unbelievably great conference play, of course. And the other thing is it's a testament, because there's a lot of coaches that are now coaching, that decent amount of coaches, I should say, that are not the original coaches that were there with Brad and Theo, replacing Kevin and Jeff at Northridge and San Diego. And I think that's impressive. The game continues to evolve, and programs continue to get better, and they have a new twist on things. And it's no disrespect to any of the coaches that were before, but the game continues to grow. And when new coaches take over programs, and especially guys like those two that are so invested in their programs, they shape the program slightly different. It's a little different feel when you play them, and I'm very, very proud of what they're doing for themselves and their universities, but more importantly for the conference. And Big West volleyball is pretty special stuff, and I'm very, very happy to be part of it all.
I'm happy to cover you all, including UC Irvine and CSUN and UC San Diego, Santa Barbara, and Hawaii. I think it's a very special conference, and I can't wait to see Big West Conference action next week. But this week is all that matters and nothing more, as Jeff Nygaard once said. But so I actually had this little bit of an inspiration question with a Zoom interview or press conference call with Mark Pavlik, Penn State men's volleyball coach. So I want to know, what are your thoughts about NCAA men's volleyball matches being behind a paywall as opposed to being watched nationally like NCAA women's volleyball matches?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, obviously. I'm not going to get into all the rhyme and reasons to it. There's obviously reasons why you need to do it to generate some money, there's no doubt, but I'd like to get to the point that there's a better effort from the NCAA down for sponsorships to allow it to get out from behind the paywall. I think any men's volleyball that the fans can watch is good for our game, and it's good to let people see it and want to come back and watch it more. So I don't like it at all, even though from a business standpoint I certainly do understand that it's a slippery slope, but I'd like to see some more effort to get us away from that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that is actually a great response. So let's say you and I were like the head executives of kicking off an NCAA men's volleyball season. So would you be on board to having a big event to kick off the NCAA men's volleyball season like the AVCA had the First Serve Challenge? Because this year's NCAA men's volleyball season was kicked off with Concordia Irvine versus Brandon of Manitoba. Would you be on board with having a big time event happening to start off the NCAA men's volleyball season with a bang?
Absolutely. I'm open to anything. I just think that we got to make sure that the AVCA and the NCAA are on board to promote it, to sponsor it, to help us get it going. And if you're going to do it right. So it needs collaboration from the conferences and from the AVCA and the NCAA. If we're going to do something like that, then of course, anything we can do to continue to get men's volleyball out there in front of more eyes, I would be interested and be part of that discussion.
Excellent. And one last question, then I'll let you go. Are there any other ideas that the NCAA can improve NCAA men's volleyball, or anyone else, such as myself or the media or anything of that sort? I know that you get this question asked a lot, but I would like to know other things that all of us can do to improve it.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that stay with the experts. This one's kind of gotten me in the viral mode sometimes, and I'm gonna step aside from that one and say I'm a big believer that there's always room for improvement in every area, including from the top down in men's volleyball.
Got it. And I could not agree with you with that anymore. So any other shouts you want to give before we end this one off?
No, I appreciate your time, and we'll see you at the Pyramid at one of our games in person soon, huh?
Absolutely, yes. I will be back sometime in the season at the Pyramid. So thank you to Alan for letting me interview you. He's Alan Knipe. I'm Teran Rodriguez, and this is Set Point Extra Points. I'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Teran.